Hello and welcome to Soul Good Sunday. Glad to have you. So this morning we will go through a guided meditation, and really it's just giving ourselves the space to settle in and get present and remember what it's like to be with ourselves and commune together and share this space together. So I'll give it a minute, see if anyone's going to join live. I encourage those who are watching the recording, if you like anything that brings you a sense of ease or presence or something that brings you the feeling of the support of spirit, I encourage you to get those things, whether it's sage or a candle, incense. I usually have incense going. I don't today. I do have my sage. So I encourage you to get those items. And like I said, we'll open with a practice and then a short talk. So that's what the goal is for today's Soul Good Sunday. And today's theme is on, are you up for the task? And so we'll talk more about what that means, especially for you uniquely, after we've had some time to settle in. So I first encourage you to lengthen your spine. You might gently roll your shoulders back. Lengthen up through the crown of your head. Just finding alignment in your body to where it feels just right. So whatever that is for you, some of us prefer to lie down. That's okay too. And from here, I encourage you to take 3 deep breaths. These are long breaths, more than deep ones, so really lengthening the inhale to the very top of the inhale, and then lengthening the exhale to the very bottom of the exhale. Once you've taken those 3 deep breaths, simply allow your breath to return to its natural flow, its natural rhythm. If you haven't already naturally closed your eyes, I encourage you to do so. Just be here in your body for a minute, scanning over the left shoulder area, and then the center of your body, and perhaps over to the right shoulder. Just giving your inner environment a gentle scan, seeing if anything is here, anything that wants to be felt or receive acknowledgement. And then following your breath as it enters your nose, travels down your throat, through your chest, and deep down into your belly. Following the breath once more as it travels through your nose, down the throat, through the chest, and deep down into your belly. Following the breath as it enters the nose, travels down the throat, through the chest, and deep down into your belly. So again, take a moment here. Just feel into your body, your inner surroundings. You can bring breath or awareness to any space within you that's asking for your attention. You just bring it gently there. Perhaps there's a feeling that wants to be given attention or a sensation. And sometimes when we bring our awareness to these feelings or sensations, sometimes it gets more uncomfortable. Sometimes there's some kind of release through tears or a recognition that you're carrying around anger or something like that, or tension. Sometimes it remains the same when you bring your awareness to that part. And whatever is happening for you is just right. To simply give your awareness a few moments to be here. Nothing to say, nothing to do or work for. So this is the space that we ideally would create in most parts of our lives or in just small parts of our lives, where we would feel really open and spacious and available, connected. Of course, sometimes there are things in the way of that, which is why we just do a simple scan and we see if there's anything there, and we give it the chance to come up, to have a say, to come to the surface. Sometimes they'll pop up and out of the water, or the surface, so to speak, and sometimes they'll pop back down and everything comes out in its own time. So we don't have to worry about whether or not something comes or goes or stays or leaves. So while we're here, I'd like for you to explore what happens when I pose the question, are you up for the task? Just see what's there. Again, perhaps it's nothing, or perhaps there's some kind of inspiration, or perhaps there's some kind of resistance. Either way, you're just seeing what's there. You might immediately begin to see all the ways that you get in your own way, or find yourself in a habit of self-sabotage, or excuses from the mind and things like that. So we can present ourselves with a question, and then many times it will be answered. Sometimes we aren't in a space to receive our inner wisdom or insights, and in those cases, when there is space in our lives again, or in our body, mind, spirit, those answers do and will come. And sometimes it's our dreams, sometimes it's through other people, but we always receive the answers to our questions. And if at any point you want to feel more grounded or more connected, just like I've shared previously, you can always place your hand over your heart. Such an easy, simple way to connect with ourselves and the heart space. So just gently seeing, are you up for the task? And of course, you don't even know yet what I'm referring to, but we're seeing where you're at and what your own wisdom says before I introduce anything. So holding anything gently and lightly, we're maintaining pure awareness, untethering ourselves from any particular thoughts or stories and returning to this anchor right here. And so with Soul Good Sunday, what I'd like to do is continue to create opportunities for you to connect with yourself and see what this feels like, what it looks like, how you might incorporate it into your everyday experience and your everyday rhythms and routines. And perhaps it's just once a week when you come on here and you're able to create that space, but it's so important that you get it. And so if it's here and if it's with me and or with a group, you're getting it. And so I think it's really important to be able to provide that for people when oftentimes we don't give ourselves permission to make the time or the space for things just like this. So if you aren't already fully oriented into your physical surroundings, just remembering which room you're in, where you're at, what day it is, and then feeling into all parts of your body that are making contact with the earth, bed or a chair or a sofa or a pillow. And then when you're ready, opening your eyes. So I want to share a little bit about, are you up for the task? Because this is a monumental experience, an unprecedented time. And I know we've talked about that a lot, and I've talked about that a lot. And it can almost be overstated or overdone, where it's like, oh yeah, I've heard this before, I know, I gotta do this or that. And it's not about productivity, it's just giving this time purpose and ensuring that you are using it for what your soul or your inner wisdom intends it for. So perhaps it's the loss and release of old identities or patterns or paradigms. Perhaps it's developing new habits or new paradigms, new thought patterns. Perhaps it's stepping into legacy work or soul work or an expression of yourself that you haven't quite committed to, or you're committing to it in a new way. So there is an opportunity here for each and every one of us, and each and every one of you, which is why you're here. And so we want to use this opportunity, and I'll tell you what, it is tough work. Are you up for the task? During the exercise earlier, no doubt, something came up for you, and perhaps it didn't, and that's okay too, because it will. But it's where you get that opportunity to see everything that's in the way of being up for the task. Because all the people who are aware right now, we can call them awake, conscious, intentional, whatever, everyone who is awake now has a responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. There is a responsibility within you now to step into what is truest for you. You know, whether it's your highest calling, your highest self, your purpose path, a deeper spiritual path. There is something here for you, an availability for you to essentially upgrade this incarnation or upgrade your vibration if you connect with those words. For me, I'm more connected to purpose and recognizing that people are meant to be sort of settling into their purpose at this time. It kind of reminds me of like a little filter or something where you're shaking things around and everything's kind of going into its right place and its right holes, right? And we're supposed to be essentially finding that place within ourselves and within the world stage of where we belong, and then continuing to and or beginning to create a world where we belong. And for us to belong, we have to create a world that is aligned with our truth and our truest values, what we really, really want for ourselves and for others. And so you are here, awakened or conscious or intentional, aware, however you see yourself. And therefore, you have a purpose. And your purpose is meant to be either born now or renewed now in a greater way. And so, are you up for the task? I find that so many people are not, and or they shy away from it. But the good news is that being up for the task only requires for you to be you. It requires some discipline and some focus and some effort, of course, in continuing to show up as you and be you. That does require some work. I know me in my highest expression, what I know is true for me in all of my moments, that would be an ideal of perfection, so to speak, that may not be possible, but I do know where my integrity stands. And so I know where I'm supposed to be or what my opportunity is in every single moment, whether I take it or not. And all I have to do is align my choices and my decisions and my actions with that integrity. That's all that's required of me. And it doesn't have to be perfect, which is why we have Soul Good Sunday and why I offer other material to support you to develop that self-compassion and that acceptance and to create space for anything that comes up. You know, whether it's those excuses or whatever, or anything that comes up, that we're able to create that space and see ourselves in the purity or the neutrality, excuse me, of awareness, so that way we can see ourselves without judgment, and that does take time and practice. With that said, many of us are aware enough to recognize when we are essentially on our path or off our path. And so all you're being asked to do, the only task there is to be on path with yourself. That's it. It's so simple, yet so essential. It's where we are at in the future / history of humanity, where we have come here and incarnated here to do this work. So now is not the time to shy away. Now is the time to shine. And it only requires that we are here for ourselves and that we commit to the path and recommit every day, day in and day out. We recommit to the path of simply being ourselves. And if that means we create communities and sisterhoods and neighborhoods and churches and temples and support networks and support systems and circles like this, you know, watching it on YouTube or watching it here on Facebook or whatever, however you do it, whatever you need to do to support yourself, to maintain that structure and boundary for yourself, is what you need to do. Are you up for the task? It is a task. It most certainly is a task. In my book, Your Soul Figure Year, I have an example in that book, and it talks about a boxer who's preparing for a fight, and his coach isn't there saying, this is going to feel like lollipops and unicorns and rainbows and a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. This is going to feel like an orgasm. This is the best sex of your life, man. No, he's saying, like, I don't know what he's saying, but the boxer and the coach are both well aware of what this boxer is going to go through. He's going to get hit in the face. He might break his jaw or his nose. This is blood, sweat, and tears, baby. He might be knocked down, kicked on the ground, has to come right back up. But this is what he's training for. This is exactly what he does and what he knows is coming and what he plans for, and it's exactly what his goal is, right? He knows what the boxing ring and what the fight is all about, and so it doesn't always feel good. It's not always easy, but a boxer's got to fight, right? And so for us, we have to, and those words can feel triggering for some people, but we feel best, we thrive most, we honor ourselves more and celebrate ourselves more, and we feel most fulfilled when we are doing what we came here for. This right here is what you came here for. This spiritual work, connecting to your true self, sharing your voice, your mission, your medicine with the world, stepping into a space of total purpose, mission, duty. And it doesn't have to be duty like, oh wow, this feels bad. It means you are thriving in what you are here to do. And that could be anything from being a mother, to being a singer, to sharing your art, to doing tarot readings, to doing stuff like this, to having ceremonies and circles, whatever. It could be what's in your everyday, it could be what's out in the world. It's all of those things. But that's precisely what you came here for. Just like the boxer who experiences like blood, sweat, tears when all for this fight, but a boxer's there to fight. A boxer's got to fight. We're here for this, so it does require some effort, some work, and more than anything, it simply requires awareness, intentionality, being present. And when we are present, fully present with ourselves, like the space that we created today, we're able to be in a place in our present moments to make those more aligned choices. When we aren't creating this kind of space for ourselves and getting ourselves aligned with our core values and deeply connected with our higher power, whether that's Mother Earth, God, Goddess, Cosmos, Great Spirit, when we're not in that place, it's more difficult. It is effortful. It is hard work to make the aligned, true, authentic choice for ourselves. But when we are creating spaces like this and we are getting support like this, it's significantly easier to stay on path and to do the work and to be on task. So this era is an era that requires so much out of you, but not really, because it's just being you. But you are being asked, are you up for the task? See where you're not. Explore those reasons. Is it a worthiness wound? Is it that you think you don't have what you need? Is it that you are scared of going out there and showing yourself, bearing yourself naked? Is it that you are hurting or in pain or depressed, uninspired? Explore those resistances within you so that you can navigate through those and then step into what it is that's most true for you. Sometimes you have to encounter the obstacles first. That's also in my book, where I talk about, at a restaurant, you go to find those stuffed animals in those machines, and it's like you have to do all of these things just to capture that stuffed animal. And still, most people walk away empty-handed. It's like, I have to press this lever, I have to put the money in, I have to navigate, orient myself, find the thing, drop the claw. It's a whole shebang of things, and half the time we still walk away empty-handed. Now look at, a lifetime or the soul's path and how much navigation is required and obstacles we run into, and all it does is prepare us even more for what's coming and what we truly want and what our true purpose or highest calling is. It requires that much effort, right? To simply get a stuffed animal out of a machine, it's going to require some encountering of obstacles on the path, but the obstacles are the path, right? They call upon the strength, the inner wisdom, the trust, the faith, the knowing, the determination, the courage, whatever it is that's being requested of you. That's what life will bring forward so that you can move forward on the path, and now you have that with you. So our outside or external catalysts support the awakening and growth of the inner qualities and states that are required for us to advance. So if you are encountering resistance, when I say you're up for the task, that is your path. Exploring those first and then advancing, and or at the same time, simultaneously showing up and learning to navigate and hold space for what's coming up for you that's in the way of that. And then for some of you, you're ready. You might have some excuses or whatever, but it's really not deeply ingrained or related to any trauma or wounding, just old thought patterns. Those can be mindfully ignored. You just step into the next right thing, right? I think we heard that on Frozen too, the next right thing. So that's my share with you today. Are you up for the task? Continuing to explore that this week, see where you have resistance, see where you don't have resistance, and then making the time this week to be with yourself like we did when we started today. And if you find that you don't get that time or don't create that space, if you are here for every Soul Good Sunday, you will get that for yourself at least once per week. So I thank you so much for being here. It's always an honor and privilege to share. Thank you, and namaste.